The Trump administration appears to be preparing a new military operation right in the backyard of the United States. Authoritative publications such as Politico, Financial Times, and Axios all report in unison. The White House is seriously discussing scenarios for a strike or even an invasion of Cuba. Trump has already publicly stated that the United States will take control of the island almost immediately. In response, Havana announced a general mobilization, and more than 6 million Cubans signed a pledge to wage a people's guerrilla war. But most importantly, in this Caribbean puzzle, the trace of the war in Ukraine is clearly visible. Why does Trump need little Cuba? How are Cuban mercenaries bringing the Ukrainian experience of drone warfare to the island? And why is American intelligence sounding the alarm over Russian drones near Florida? More details are in our report. You are on the Glavred channel. I'm your host, Evgeny Serov. Like and subscribe to the channel. Just a few months ago, Washington was relying on the usual economic strangulation of the Cuban communist regime. And it must be admitted this blockade was devastatingly effective. After the United States blocked oil supplies from Venezuela, Cuba's oil refineries shut down, the lights went out, and the power grid suffered a series of complete blackouts. At the beginning of May, Trump dealt a final blow to the island's economy by imposing harsh secondary sanctions against the military conglomerate Geisa, which controls 70% of the Cuban market. However, as Politico writes, the mood in the White House has radically changed. Now they are talking about military force. There are two main reasons for this: the political factor. In November, the United States will hold midterm elections for Congress. Republican ratings are falling, and Trump needs a quick, vivid, and most importantly, victorious image for American television. Cuba is the perfect target for this. Plus, this guarantees total support from the Cuban diaspora in the key state of Florida. And the subjective factor. The post of U.S. Secretary of State is held by Marco Rubio, an ethnic Cuban and outspoken anti-communist, who is the main lobbyist for a hardline scenario. It got to the point where CIA Director John Ratcliffe made a secret visit to Havana and issued an ultimatum: end cooperation with Russia and Iran in exchange for lifting sanctions. The Cuban security forces rejected this ultimatum. And now we come to the most interesting part. What does Ukraine have to do with this? Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel stated that the island is ready for an asymmetric response, and the Cuban military leadership is actively implementing tactics they observed on the Ukrainian front. The fact is that about 5,000 Cuban citizens were recruited into the Russian army and underwent the harsh training of modern technological warfare in Ukraine. Now, Havana plans to use this experience of mass deployment of FPV drones and building mobile defenses against the American army in the event of a landing. In addition, the presence of Iranian military advisors has already been recorded on the island. Moreover, the publication Axios, citing American intelligence, shocked with the news. Cuba has already accumulated more than 300 combat drones received directly from Russia and Iran. The government in Washington, D.C. is already starting to actively circulate and promote the specific notion that these drones represent a critical and non-negotiable red line, as they pose a significant and direct threat to the American base in Guantanamo, various U.S. Navy ships, and even major coastal cities throughout the state of Florida. Any incident involving these UAVs in the Caribbean Sea could become a trigger for the start of hostilities.